You really don't own nothing in this life. You don't own, this is a rented life. There ain't nobody better than nobody on this earth. You can't take it with you. All I can buy is cars and shoes, a bigger house, more cars. This is what money is. If you really break it down, there's nothing you can really do with it. You're just stacking it up to give it to somebody. Because if something happened to you, you're not taking it with you. Once I start thinking like that, the desire for me to chase in this business and compete, it went away. You really don't own nothing.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the others at GMS who teach and rule well. And salutations to the Lord's elect and the 1/3. I'm the brother Barak, and yeah, as you can see in the video I played, you know, the brother is basically just talking about how, you know, you can have all these things, but you really don't own anything. That's because Esau, he's in rulership right now. Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he's the one that is basically in power and wants to control all your things. It says right here, it says, you will own nothing and be happy. So this is the spirit these people are on now. You know, they're about to take away everything from you. Everything from you, right? It says right here, eminent domain is the government's power to take property for public use, provided the owner is paid just compensation. This power is established by the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, right? So these people, you know, they can just take what you have, take what you own. They want to build a fucking house in a plot, a property. And, you know, they want to build a building, and your house is blocking the way. Oh well, we can destroy that. You know what I'm saying? So Esau set it up where he can take whatever you own, right? So you really don't own nothing already. This is the book of Matthew 6, and let's start at 19. It says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon the earth, where moth and rust doeth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doeth corrupt, and where thieves do not break nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So there, you know, there's not going to be a dude robbing you for your money, you know, in the kingdom. You know, there's not going to be, you know, these people can just close your bank account, you know, get rid of your income, right? Because, you know, that's the spirit Esau's on right now. He's about to fire a bunch of people. You know, Amazon laying off 30,000 employees. You know, and then you got these people, you know, they basically, what do? They got that American, you know, Wall Street spirit, where, you know, they're just basically just kissing ass to get to that, you know, upper echelons of their job. You know, they're trying to climb the ranks of their job. So what do? They just kiss their boss's ass over and over again, you know, so to get that pay, you know, that $1 raise, right? You know, so these fucking people, man, this place gotta go, you know. This is a book of 1 Timothy 6 and 8. It says, and having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. So what does that mean, man? You know, you have to be a minimalist if you can. You know, there's benefits in having very little items, right? You don't always have to have the best nicest cars, nicest newest iPhone. You don't have to have all these golden fucking toilets, golden, chains and stuff. Granted, yeah, you can own some gold and silver, and that's gonna be a temporary way of, having some wealth, maybe during the latter times, right? But, it's not, these things will not save you from the destruction that's coming, right? But, these people out here want the nicest car, a bigger penthouse, a bigger house, more clothes, more, a new purse, right? All these things are fucking, temptations, useless things, right? Vain things, like the guy in the video was saying, just, you can, have a bigger car, a bigger house, but it really ain't like anything that important, And that's the thing with this whole social media sphere, even if you got the biggest car and the biggest house, there's always one motherfucker out there with a bigger house and a big car, or a nicer car, Salakia, right? So all these people, it's just like this, these things that are really useless. And this is from personal experience. So oftentimes when I had, the most simple things, I was more resourceful, more creative, even happier, right? Because a lot of these things are just, Esau likes to make it seem like you need these things, but you really don't. You really don't. This is the book of Mark 4:19. It says, "And the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches and the lust of other things entering in choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful." Right? So, these things are just, distractions. They're not really useful. Okay? Just distractions, man. Unfruitful things. Getting a new, bigger, a nicer car. Think about getting more, what does that have to do with, bringing people, feeding the sheep of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. That shit does not do anything. It does not do anything, right? Getting nicer chains, getting nicer jewelry. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, he's going to give us all these things in the kingdom. But that's not even the most important thing. You just have to make sure that you are, the Lord is dealing with you, and we make it, right? And, the Lord will provide for us 100-fold, 1,000-fold. But the things on this side, man, they're useless things, right? And this is the book of Ecclesiasticus 39:26, and it says, "The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing." So you don't need all these things, you just have the basic things, right? And you build upon that. You build with the basic things, but the most important thing is you have this truth, right? You have the truth of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, right? All those other things come after, I'll read it again. It says, "The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing." Right? And there's so many different things you can make and create with these things alone, right? But people think you need all these different things. People are in that spirit of, if I get this, my life will change. If I get this, I'll get more women, right? And that's why Esau, he'll put like a pretty woman, an advertisement or something. And Jake be doing that too. But the thing is, people will put pretty woman in advertisement to get other people to buy these things. If they say, oh well, a pretty person, a good looking person uses this or this product, so that must mean that I need to use this. You know what I'm saying? And just convincing people to buy all these useless things, which are really just, you don't need these things, right? Most of these things are just junk, right? And people are gonna realize this during the latter times, when shit hits the fan, right? People are gonna try to start surviving. All these these little what do you call it? These different things that people buy. These your car. That's just not gonna matter. Matter of fact, it could be even worse because, who are people gonna go to first when they start robbing the houses? They're gonna go to those rich ass neighborhoods. The person with the red Ferrari right outside their house. That guy that was looking for validation from other people, right? Because that's what these things are. They're just ways for people to get validation. Most people are buying them because of that, whether they like to admit it or not. But that's gonna be a lot of people's downfall. People are gonna get robbed. People's houses are gonna get fucked up. That's why you have to be like Clark Kent. You have to play stupid with these people. Behind the scenes though, even if you have to control yourself. You'll play stupid. Let people get the upper hand on you, right? Give them that illusion that you're not doing anything, right? But deep, on the back end, you're preparing something. That's what we're like in this walk, Yahweh Shemel Shai, he's going to bring us, he's going to raise up his men, right? But you can't be going out here, just speaking and doing all this random shit, right? Getting all these crazy, flashy cars, all this nonsense, man, Shalom.